Good afternoon, everyone. Carahsoft Technology would like to welcome you to our Proven Optics webinar, Getting Started with Technology Business Management on ServiceNow. At this time, I'd like to hand the floor over to our presenter, Nick Reed. Nick, the floor is all yours.
Great, thank you so much, and appreciate everyone taking the time to attend this session today. My name is Nick Reed. I am one of our federal account executives here at Proven Optics. I have been in the IT financial management and TBM space for the better part of a decade now, helping organizations implement different financial management strategies, different solutions around TBM, and ultimately and latestly our applications built on the ServiceNow platform. Today, what we're going to talk through on getting started with TBM on ServiceNow is first we want to define what is TBM and why does it matter. We're going to then step through the mapping and the cost modeling journey that our agencies go through as they begin to deploy this capability on the ServiceNow platform. And then we'll talk a little bit at the end about how that capability is delivered with Proven Optics on ServiceNow as agencies get started. Please feel free to drop questions into the chat as we go. I will try my best to answer them as they come in. With that, I did want to open up the floor before we get too far along and start with a polling question on how does your organization manage IT spend today? Go ahead and I'll wait about a minute or so for the responses to come. All right, Carahsoft team, can we go ahead and see the results of the poll?
Yes, looks like our winner is Purchase Solution.
Fantastic. As organizations do purchase solutions as their capability to do this, I think one of the things we'll start to see is on the ServiceNow platform, how we're able to do that on a platform approach and be able to really centralize more of our financial management capabilities into one of those strategic platforms that many of our enterprises and customers are adopting today. So what is technology business management? And one of the things we get asked a lot is, why do TBM? What can it help me accomplish? And at its core, we're trying to understand the cost of IT and how IT is helping agencies achieve their missions and their business objectives. A key driver for that is technology, and it continues to be the core of every decision that agency makes, regardless if it's to offer a citizen a new service, run and manage projects for the agency, or develop automation for approving permits. This puts a great deal of pressure on IT to justify what they're spending, why they're spending it, and how it's going to support agency operations in the future. Technology business management can do exactly that, translating the cost of IT into the value of IT. This value conversation enables technology managers, the CIO, and IT customers with insights and context on what decisions they can make to further invest in technology, where they have opportunities for cost reduction, and where IT optimization opportunities can lie. Helping them answer the typical questions that we sometimes see ourselves being asked on the left-hand side. Like, I don't understand where my IT spend is, how much does IT cost, and how can I get more visibility? We always want to start and think about with the end in mind. And when we at Proven Optics are being asked by customers, what are the things that we can do with TBM and why does that matter to the organization? Some key themes begin to emerge for us. And by answering these questions, customers are able to achieve the outcomes they have for their TBM practices. Achieving these capabilities are often at the heart of why organizations embark on this journey. Sometimes they manifest as a CIO priority, part of an agency's strategic mission, or a new requirement that comes as part of a greater IT modernization effort. Regardless of the origin, there are typically three types of strategies that these outcomes can help agencies achieve. Financial outcomes, where TBM can identify where organizations can find cost optimization opportunities. And examples of this include things like application rationalization, eliminating the cost of idle capacity, and being able to reduce duplicative spending. There's also regulatory outcomes. For many of our federal and state agencies, there's different regulatory bodies, such as the federal government, as well as OMB, that have different reporting requirements and as well as FTAR goals. A common way that TBM can help do this is being able to help generate a centralized management point of all financials across the organization, not just the technology dollars within the IT portfolio, but also technology dollars in the lines of business and across the enterprise, as well as ultimately business relationship outcomes. TBM can assist with deepening these relationships by creating cost transparency into the services that are offered to our customers and our constituents, but also being able to understand things like rates that they're being charged as part of that fee for service type model. The next step we often discuss with agency customers is, how do I get to that type of view? And so this is exactly what my CIO and my leadership team is asking for. What we see here on the screen is an overview of the TBM taxonomy, broken down into discrete, achievable building blocks that help make up this overall costing approach. Many agencies, when they're getting started with TBM, start by understanding their financial data sets and how those align to the IT cost pools and towers. This alignment creates the foundation for the TBM taxonomy, as well as a baseline of reporting requirements. The next phase of maturity we see agencies take is translating the tower costs into the different solutions and services, applications, and products that we offer to our customers of the business. This is the phase of the model where we are now incorporating more than just financial data, but we are also including IT operational data sets. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on. And the last leg of this journey is our full show back to our customers. This layer includes not only the total cost of all the solutions that we offer, but also consumption and utilization of those services by our customers to create a full IT show back view based on the particular use of the IT budget. What we'll walk through today is how we can accomplish these different outcomes and ultimately get this full cost transparency view of technology. The first step agencies take in the TBM journey is aligning dollars to cost pools and IT resource subtowers. This alignment of dollars begins to break down the black box of IT expenses by providing insight to the types of activities and the types of costs that agencies are using to support business outcomes and agency missions. These alignments make up the basic building blocks of technology solutions we see today, like end user, network, and applications. As these costs are gathered, they can be found anywhere in the organization. Compute costs, as an example, could even show up in multiple departments or programs, not just the infrastructure group. This allows leaders to centralize like-for-like activities prior to taking to the next step in the cost modeling maturity and creating allocations. The way that this is done for most organizations is taking the agency's financial data set or spend plan and mapping each of those individual spend plan lines or subline items to the different cost pools and IT towers. This process is typically done best by that proximity rule, by either having the departmental managers, who are the closest ones responsible for those financials, or the budgetary fiscal managers. Those could manifest themselves in multiple areas like enterprise architecture, IT program management, or even TBM offices. It's important not just to map these line items, but to understand what are the different data sets used to create this mapping that will ultimately enable the organization to automate this process going forward. These types of data sets include vendor name, object class, program, and project. And as we now capture that systemic information, we're able to then use that to create automatic mapping rules, methodologies, and approaches to now have that bottom layer of the TBM taxonomy rapidly deployed as financials are displayed month over month. This information can be very insightful for groups as they start the TBM journey. An example that we've helped a client with recently was that after working with stakeholders across the agency, there were 5 different programs where vendor management activities were being executed. This gave the leadership the opportunity to centralize these expenses, but also started to raise questions of, is this happening elsewhere within the agency? A great way to begin understanding this is to visualize the IT tower and cost pool data into end user dashboards that are drillable, interactive, and have real-time data available. Many agencies that we work with today are at some level of that capability as we start to look at cost pools and towers. And the next question we're often getting asked when we begin engaging is, how do we get to that next level of the solutions layer? And for TBM, this is really where we start to define the total cost of ownership. Being able to take that data from the IT tower layer of the taxonomy and begin aligning it to the different products, services, and applications that we're building up to as part of that solutions layer. A key driver to take this next step is operational data sets. These operational data sets are different ways that IT runs and manages the business today. Things that you might find in somewhere like a CMDB or our IT service management tool, or being able to understand our asset inventories. And these data sets exist today in all agencies, regardless if they are automated and systemic in a platform like ServiceNow, or if they're living on a spreadsheet on someone's desktop. The data does exist. It's a question of how can we source it, and then how can we source better and stronger quality data over time. As we start to go down this process and start to look for where I can find these data sets, a great place to start within an organization are the service owners. These are the personas that run and manage technology delivery and have been keeping the lights on, the servers running, and the laptops operational for a long time, and likely have some level of data that can be used. These owners are going to own some of the solutions that we offer our customers, and ultimately part of that IT delivery model. Regardless if that listing of laptops is sitting in a spreadsheet, if that's living in another system, or if that's living in ServiceNow, it gives us a base level of data and information to begin creating those allocations, to take that tower data and split it apart into the different services that it supports. Ultimately, one of the questions we get asked frequently is, what if we don't have that data? What if we don't have this information? And what we found over the years of doing this since 2012 is the service owners typically know within 85% accuracy what those particular data sets are and their directional accuracy to be able to start to use them for cost modeling. So we're able to source that data, even if it's not systemic, from a place to begin creating what are those total cost of ownership views available for the agency. As those operational data sets continue to mature, like CMDB relationships, asset inventories, license management, the cost model can begin to start to use those data sets, and as they become more automated, continue to make the cost model evergreen over time. There's an extensive list of technologies and platforms and enterprise applications that might house these data sets needed for a cost model. And our application on ServiceNow can use data from any of them. ServiceNow as a platform is a very data-friendly platform with an extensive API library, a load data feature for being able to load spreadsheets, and the ability to build your own APIs to connect those data sets into the Proven Optics applications. Customers who use ServiceNow for more than just TBM, like IT asset management, CMDB, or IT service management, can have their data incorporated into the Proven Optics application with approval from those data owners, creating even more of the data on the ServiceNow platform. In short, our application can use any data set from any system for TBM. And one of the example outputs that we can begin to see here is on the right-hand side. What we're looking at is an example of what is application total cost of ownership. It's one of the cornerstones for many organizations as they go through this process of being able to achieve TCO. And what we can see here, what we mean by that is not only the licensing cost, our large blue slice we see here on the right, but we're also now bringing in all the other expenses, both direct and indirect to the application, that ultimately are now feeding into that total cost, like our support and our operations costs, as well as all of our on-prem cloud infrastructure, as well as project-related expenses, ultimately driving towards what is that fully burdened total cost to be able to run and operate our IT environment. Full showback, and really the last step of the journey of creating a showback to our customers is that we take the total cost of all the applications, services, and end user devices that a particular customer is using and present them back to leadership. This typically is what organizations are trying to achieve as they start down that TBM journey, which we're able to get that full view. And what these services are and what ultimately we're showing back to the business are often things that we are either sourcing from the service catalog, your ServiceNow instance, or the services that your service owners are supporting the organization with. This is commonly where we hear customers say, we don't have enough information to get started, but service owners can help you bridge this gap with some of their proximity data to get started. The key principle that we embrace as we go throughout this process is we want to be able to define the relationships between our services and our customers. And the approach that we take is called decision-based modeling. This approach aligns decision levers that we're going to present to our customers and our stakeholders that they're able to actually pull and see an impact to the business as they continue to decrease their utilization or consumption of a particular service. A great example of this type of approach is cost of the CIO. In some organizations and cost model frameworks, the cost of the CIO is baked into all of the services throughout the organization. However, just because the compute team provisioned another server doesn't mean that we need to allocate more CIO costs or more CIO to that particular server. So as we look at these different costing approaches, we really want to define and finite types of expenses we're showing back to our customers to make sure there's no false levers and be able to present the right data at the right time for optimal decision making. So how does Proven Optics address this full showback and TBM capability on the ServiceNow platform? What Proven Optics offers are scoped applications that are available on the ServiceNow store for agencies to be able to download to their existing ServiceNow environments. Once downloaded, they act just like any other module in ServiceNow, where we can access it with the left-hand side navigation, execute low-code, no-code configurations, and make sure the application is fit for purpose for your agency's use case. As part of every ServiceNow store application, we have to submit our apps to ServiceNow for their team to review. Part of this review is an architectural review to ensure the applications follow ServiceNow best practices, guidelines, and compatibility with the existing ServiceNow releases. This is then followed by a stringent security review, but ultimately allows our applications to have the designation of a now certified application. A now certified application isn't just a technical designation, it's a time to value designation. Our applications are purpose-built for public sector organizations with commitment-based accounting structures, enabling agencies to achieve value faster than when deploying with traditional COTS solutions. Now certified applications can leverage and tap into ServiceNow platform functionality, like its robust access control rules, platform security, as well as workflow. but also give the technology partners like Proven Optics the opportunity to bring their unique skill sets and experience to codify those workflows and process steps into an application that's deployable into your ServiceNow instance today. What we've seen in the market over the last few years is that platform as a strategy is here to stay. Organizations need the ability to interconnect their data, their workflows to achieve their business outcomes at scale. One of the deciding reasons for us to build our applications on ServiceNow is the speed, flexibility, and automation of the data integration across the entire platform. These are traits that agencies are looking for, not just in their TBM solutions, but other workflow capabilities needed to accomplish their missions. And with the addition of the Proven Optics suite of applications to the ServiceNow platform we all know today, agencies can link their financial and budget data with all the data that lives in other modules like strategic portfolio management, asset management, operations, budget data, and many more, creating a true platform of insights for faster and more effective business decision-making. So what is a real outcome that we've helped agencies achieve with TBM? Well, one of our federal civilian customers wanted to find a way to modernize their rate setting process and streamline their showback capabilities. Previously, they were still operating out of spreadsheets and email to do this, being able to track and manage the buildup, the approval, and ultimately a lot of the customer communication and showback. But after acquiring Proven Optics, they were able to deploy our application for TBM within 90 days with minimal customizations to meet their agency's specific needs. What the customer is able to achieve within the first few weeks of deploying the application was identifying $1 million worth of savings of duplicative spend in one of their application portfolios due to a new CIO requirement. In addition to that $1 million savings, the rate setting process for the next fiscal year operated 75% faster because we were not only able to understand where our rates were going to be at for the next budgeted year based on prior year data, but we were able to then track and manage what our actual rates and actual unit costs were as we went throughout the fiscal year. So that way we had an understanding of where we planned, where we actually landed, and then ultimately how we can then forecast that out for future fiscal periods. This is just one of the examples of how our customers are receiving value from our applications after going live with the TBM capability. A wrap-up poll question that I wanted to ask the team today is, why does your organization care about TBM? There's a lot of different reasons organizations are thinking about looking at TBM. Would be interested to kind of hear the thoughts and feedback here from the team. Carahsoft team, what are the results looking like?
Couple still coming in, but looking like it's tied. Let's go ahead and show those results.
Fantastic. There's a lot of organizations that are just starting to explore TBM and are just starting on that journey. And some of the things that we've covered today are good things to think about and good data points to go after as we start to explore what are my options to not only set the foundation, but where I want to grow in the future. Really appreciate everyone's time today to be able to come and attend the webinar. Below and in a follow-up email are ways to get in touch with myself and Ryan from the Carahsoft team. Would be happy to share a little bit more information with you on our TBM cost modeling application or book a demo with our team. With that, I'll open up the floor to questions from attendees.
Thanks, Nick. At this time, we'd like to open the floor up for questions. Please use the Q&A pod on the bottom of your screen to ask any questions you may have. And we have our first question. Do we need certain ServiceNow modules installed in order to use proven optics?
Great question. You don't need certain modules installed to use Proven Optics. All that you need is the base ServiceNow platform turned on. Once that base platform is turned on, you have the building blocks you need to begin doing TBM work. I see another question came in. Does Proven Optics provide break-fix support for its applications in addition to what ServiceNow offers? Yes. Proven Optics has our own end user support agreements that offers break-fix with varying SLAs to be able to support our customers 24/7, 365. And I see the last question coming in is, what are my options for implementation services? Proven Optics, not just a software company, we are a services company as well. We are able to deploy our own applications with our subject matter experts that not only know TBM, but also know ServiceNow. So we are able to support with that. We also have an extensive solution integrator network, both in the federal, state, and local space that are able to support implementing our applications.
And I see another question. What are the systemic sources you need to integrate to start getting underlying data for minimum viability?
It's a good question. As we look at the minimum data that we need to get started, typically we see organizations that start with their financial data sets. And as we get those financial data sets, we can then take those financial data sets with mapping rules and mapping logic to help us get to that first layer of the cost pools and the IT towers. A great place to look for those data sets of where to go and what to do from going above towers if we want to just get started. Meeting with your service owners is a great place. I also recommend looking at your service request data or your ITSM data. Oftentimes we can see requests that users have for applications. We're able to then identify what are the top applications to focus on as we begin that TBM journey, or those top services to focus on that our end users are interacting with so frequently.
And it looks like those are all the questions. So thank you, Nick. And I'd like to thank all of our participants as well as our speaker for being with us today. We hope the information you received during this webinar has been helpful.